A 3-episode buildup of this Muse character culminated in about 4 minutes of closure.
I don't want to live in Hell's Kitchen.
Is Muse coming back, or are we all coping? I think I'm coping, but...
I put 2 scoops of dirt and a flower on his grave.
Greetings, Palaxians. Today on the Bounty Board, we're discussing Daredevil Born Again Episode 7 and our mixed emotions on the death of Muse. So kick up that warp drive and let's punch it.
Welcome back to the Guardians of the Palaxy podcast. I'm Whitney Van Laningham, and I am here today with my very best pals in the whole entire Palaxy, Tommy Bechtold and Brett Turley. Hi, how are you?
Hey, pals.
Hi there, pals. Good to be here, pals.
Good to be seen. Good to see ya.
I used to say it's good to be seen in 2013, but it's 2025 now. It's good to be alive in 2025.
It's good to be alive in 2025.
Is it?
Although the villain of our episode can't say the same.
Ooh.
Segue.
I think the villain of this episode was pacing. Sick burn to the hardworking editors of a very well done series. But,
yeah. No, I feel you.
I don't think it was an editor problem, is what I will say. I think pacing is correct, but I do not think it was an editor problem.
I also didn't like the pacing. Tell me more.
Sure. Well, let's get into it. This episode's all about muses. What inspires you to create or destroy? Or in the Muse's case, take away. I felt, a 3-episode buildup of this Muse character culminated in about 4 minutes of closure. I mean, in full closure, including the introduction of his alter ego, Bastion Cooper, was it? And it's like we go from the very, I would say, not so unobvious back and forth scene between Kingpin and Dr. Green and Bastion to like just his full-on Law and Order, you caught me villain monologue.
Yeah.
To he's now trying to kill Heather to he's dead on the floor.
Yeah.
In
it was it all happened so quickly. 4.5 minutes. This happens a lot in movies where a character is teased in the trailer heavily and then is on screen for a total of 12 minutes. But I just kind of felt like, I don't know. In a way, it all played out kind of how we said on this show. Yeah.
And how I said how a discussion I had on Screen Crush where it's like, he's going to kidnap White Tiger's niece. He's going to kidnap the psychiatrist or the therapist.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to lead to his downfall. And that is what happened. Mm-hmm. I felt like maybe the kidnapping of Heather was the cliffhanger ending of this episode into next week, or kidnap Heather off the jump and then reveal that it's like, I don't know, use flashbacks or something to reveal. I guess I'm not a writer. I don't want to pick it apart too much.
Well, I am a writer, so allow me to say that here's how I would have never done it. The part that was the most egregious to me in everything you just described was that in the back and forth cutscenes, they're just suddenly, there's no primer to this. There's absolutely no buildup. There's absolutely nothing that except for this tiny ass piece of exposition when they go, oh, holy shit. His dad was obsessed with doing kung fu, or what was it? Was it Tai Chi?
Taekwondo.
I'm so sorry. Taekwondo. I apologize.
He knows kung fu.
Literally that was it. It was just a conversation where they were like, oh, and by the way, fun fact, in his youth, his parents were really into, Taekwondo. And so now he's good at it. And that's the only explanation for 0.2 seconds that they give about why he can fight Daredevil, sort of.
He can go toe-to-toe with Daredevil and survive and not be completely incapacitated. And I just want to add a disclaimer. I didn't write this episode, but I am one of the best writers in the world.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
People come up to me all the time with tears in their eyes, and they say, T, nobody does it like you. Nobody writes like you. Nobody can tell a story the way you can. That I can tell you.
That he puts the T in T.S. Eliot over here. That's what he's. that's what he's doing.
No, I think and that's one of the weird things that they chose to do with Muse, right? Is they were like, hey, we have this supernatural character from the comics. He's Muse in the comics, he is able to fight Daredevil and go toe to toe with Daredevil because he's able to become this absence of senses. So Daredevil can't actually perceive him, which is how he's able to fight Daredevil. In this, they were like, okay, we don't want to make Muse supernatural. I believe he's an Inhuman. We don't want to make him supernatural because we want to do this gritty, realistic Daredevil show. And they're just like, okay, but he's really good at Taekwondo. It's just kind of feels very forced on.
Let him,
he's the karate
let
kid.
him cook.
I do think, like, ultimately Muse needed another episode, I think, to cook. And I think what we're feeling is kind of just like this whiplash from them just like rushing through his story beats. And I think if Bastion was seated a little bit earlier, I know he showed up at the book signing, but I think if like we saw more of Heather and Bastion's sessions, and Heather
exactly.
like slowly learning that like Bastion is this serial killer, I think that would have had more of a dramatic impact.
Yeah, I was telling Brett, I've seen Law and Order SVU episodes that had better serial killer buildups in their 45-minute time span than this did. Get Dick Wolf on the team.
Yeah.
So I think like exploring the idea that this version of Muse is like a savant. He picks up Taekwondo really easily. He's really good at art, and like maybe he's really good at music, like really exploring the fact that like this is someone who's just like super talented at whatever he does and picks up. I think that would have been kind of a more interesting direction to take that character. And like you'd still be like, I was forced to do Taekwondo because my parents were really into Taekwondo for some reason.
And okay, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't he say that, like, didn't the cops say that he murdered his Taekwondo teacher after 3 months? So,
3 months. So
he got this good at Taekwondo in 3 months as a child, and now as an adult, he's still that good at Taekwondo.
Yes.
Does he belong to a gym? Does he belong to a Taekwondo club in his adulthood? Could his sensei have sensei'd this? Could he have warned someone?
Here's what I choose to believe. And I mean this. I think that what we're supposed to deduce from Muse is that he is basically the arts form of Bishop. Bishop can take any technology and learn how to use it and master it and evolve it. I feel like this guy can take any kind of art, whether it's drawing, martial arts. I wish we could have explored more. If they had explained that and fleshed that out, that would have been so much cooler. It's like, oh, this guy can hear piano, and like just do a scene of him. Like there's a piano in the lobby of the building where the therapist is, and have him just hear a guy play and sit next to him and just start banging out the tune. And it's like, all right.
And then the guy's like, how long have you played? And he's like, first time.
Never touched a piano
Never
before.
touched a piano before.
Never touched a woman either. And then they both smile at each other.
Real Muse. Real. Get a girlfriend.
I'm a master. I have a mastery in the fuck arts.
That's right. I'm a sexual artist.
That's just Matt Murdock. You're just describing Matt Murdock now.
True. But I think, like, for me, honestly, like that explanation would have been kind of cool because you can evade the whole like supernatural element like we were talking about and just have him be, but make him analogous to another character in the MC or in the Marvel comics.
I mean, it's like kind of a little bit taskmastery, but
sure.
Yeah.
But having it be all arts based and his name is Muse is just brilliant to me. My idea is brilliant to me.
No, it is. And I think expanding on it, this is a fan fiction hour now, expanding on it, like him like fixating on different muses. I wanted to explore more of like how Muse's relationship with Daredevil worked, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's ultimately why the villain isn't very fulfilling, is because he kind of just shows up to kidnap people in Matt Murdock's life,
right?
But he doesn't
by accident.
He doesn't reveal anything about Matt, and we don't learn anything about Matt really through his time on screen. And I think I would have loved if he was more of a foil to Daredevil. There's some people who are like, Muse isn't dead. There's some Muse cope going on right now on the internet. And it's because there's a line that he says in one of the trailers where he's like, show me the real you or something like that, or this is the real you. And that to me is like, that is more interesting if it's Muse speaking to Daredevil and he's like trying to coax Daredevil back out into the city because he was inspired by Daredevil.
What if Bastion was the Muse's muse?
Yeah.
And he just sent Bastion as an emissary, but there's actually Muse Prime lurking in the sewers.
Yeah.
Just like ready to kill.
And his muse is the 4 Ninja Turtles, baby. That's who Sewer Muse is studying.
Sewer Muse.
Yeah.
The 4 Ninja Turtles named after artists.
Oh my God. Perfect.
Also, what a huge missed opportunity not to do anything with Vanessa and Muse.
Dude,
She's an art collector.
She's an art dealer. That, and also when Kingpin found out that his therapist got, I thought for sure, and I said this in a previous episode, but I thought for sure he'd be like, nobody fucks with the woman who holds my marital secrets.
Right.
And like, I totally thought he was gonna like go get her. But I guess he probably, on the other hand, was like, oh, cool, my secrets die with her. Fine. So I guess
She's
maybe
alive,
there's
though.
that. I know she's alive. But I mean, the way that he responded when they were like, sir, your therapist has been kidnapped.
I think it's a bold move to steal, I don't want to say credit, but like credit for the kill from this prolific writer who is definitely going to talk about what happened between her and Muse.
Well, my question is, if you are revealed to be the inspiration for a serial killer who's your client, do you have to go in front of the board and like have your license questioned?
Yes.
And also, what's the like leave of absence you have to take after someone tries to do a murder-suicide painting in your office?
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah.
How long is Heather going to be out of work here? Because we're talking about
that's
going to
solid
give her
3
a lot
months.
of time. I agree. I think it's 90 days. That's the number I had in my head. And also, that's going to give her a lot of time to notice more shit about Matt Murdock.
Dude, I know. Because she was like, he said my name. Daredevil said my name. And I love that Matt.
In your exact voice.
Yeah, in your exact voice with your exact facial hair, like just 6 inches above me.
But I was bleeding out from this small wound that had a tourniquet around it on my arm that caused me to be completely incapacitated, although it was just referred to as a minor laceration.
Yeah, so I also just thought it was nuts that like she had this little arm wound and she had like, it was this huge dramatic, like, stay with me, you're not gonna die on me. And then fucking Angela had like all of her blood drained from her body. And she was fine. Her tiny little teenage body. They made less of a ambulance fuss over her for sure.
But I do want to talk about something that I thought did work in this episode, and that was kind of the early scenes of Matt Murdock and Heather's interactions, the little steamy shower scene, followed by her like doing some armchair therapy for him in bed. Like, what a great way to try to get a guy to open up. Just be a beautiful woman in bed, like caressing your face and hair. I feel like I would tell someone anything in that situation.
Oh, absolutely.
He resisted. He did his little Matt Murdock breadcrums where he's like, I had a different life then. I was a different person. I was more of a Daredevil then. I was risky. I dared to bedevil people. I'm Daredevil. I thought that was the stronger part of the episode. I thought it got off to a good start. No pun intended. I like their relationship, and I like the slow burn of her like piecing together what is going on with this guy. And it does make sense that like someone who suppresses trauma seeks out danger, right? Like, it's
absolutely.
So he has some plausible deniability. The problem is he's everywhere. I mean, that's the nature of a TV show, right? Like the last two victims of a serial killer happen to be close to the hero. It's like, that happens because it's a TV show. Yeah. Not because that's like the odds of that happening in real life are astronomical. But like, but as someone once said to me, Matt Murdock is just a guy that a lot of stuff happens to.
He really is. He's just a guy going through it, man. Lots of stuff going on. And Kingpin is so mad that he's back in action. He's like, but you promised you were done with this. No. Now I have to waste my dirty cops on catching you. I wanted them to do other dirty cop stuff. I thought you were gone. And he's so mad about it. He needs to talk to his therapist about his feelings.
Yeah, well, too bad. He's going to have to wait 3 months.
You sure as shit is, because she's on medical leave, and good for her. Take a sabbatical, bitch. You deserve it.
Yeah, and that relationship is going to completely dissolve, too, because she's putting hits out on him.
Yeah. Ooh, putting a hit out on your husband, not a great wife.
Did you take that as a hit, or I took it as they trapped him? I thought she did that. I thought she texted him like to tie up that loose end of him causing trouble.
I think she's making plays.
Yeah, I could see that, but I thought that was too sloppy. That was too much of a like Kingpin's too smart to fall, to be caught unawares like that with his back turned to the front door of an Italian restaurant while he's there by himself.
Yeah.
But that does lead me to another thing I enjoyed about this episode, which was a little more backstory for Buck Cashman, if that is his real name. And like, don't forget what you were before I found you or brought you back or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, this dude probably was super evil, like some sort of assassin or mercenary. And
wait, his last name is Cashman. So his
it's a comic book character.
I'm so
Their names
sorry.
are all like Rick Hammerfist.
Buck Cashman is so funny.
Buck Cashman.
I love that. I think it's
Buck
nice.
Cashman.
Why don't we just call him Dollar
Cashman.
Bill? Let's just call him that. Why not?
Dollar Dollar Bill would be a great comic book character.
I think so. Because then you could holler for Dollar Bill.
I just think it's like this is an interesting character because he's kind of fits perfectly into the Kingpin's fold. Like he's got a level of like elegance to him, but he's clearly like fueled by evil. And we finally get to see him take a life through a silenced gun, a headshot into Luca, poor Luca.
R.I.P.
Yeah, I think like fleshing out Michael Gandolfini's character and this character of Buck Cashman are as important as fleshing out the characters of Heather and Matt Murdock's work wife, whose name escapes me now. It's like, we need to know more about these characters because right now it's very Kingpin Matt centric. The show has been very Kingpin and Matt centric the entire time, which I understand they're the two main characters, but I think that the stakes going into season 2 will be much higher if we care about more people in this world, and
I agree.
Or at least understand more people in this world. Like if we fear Buck Cashman, if he's one of those characters like a great Game of Thrones or Sopranos side character that's capable of killing a main character or killing someone important. Like that element of danger is going to make the show much more exciting.
Yeah, man. No, that totally makes sense.
Right now, I don't know how many people believe this because I did a very cursory look, but the Muse truthers are like, no, Buck has to be the real Muse.
Oh,
so like
that's
an
interesting.
option, maybe.
Ooh, so like what if this
that's
kid
true,
is just a copycat of Muse, and that's why he's like, you inspired me, I'm gonna kill you, to his therapist? I don't know, maybe.
Well, he killed his 2 other muses. He killed his Taekwondo muse, and he tried to kill his therapist, who was his muse. So that's where I think, Brett, you're right. Like another episode to cook where we find out some other thing that this kid has mastered or at least become really proficient at. Would have later
he mastered cloning. And now there's more muses.
Yeah.
He mastered cloning. Is perfect. It's just vignettes of him in the lab and he kills Dr. Kurt Connors. That would be great.
No, it's the Naruto Jitsu or whatever.
Yes.
He just like
oh yeah, he can just separate. He's like multiple man.
With Muse, the other thing that I have a question about, let's break this down serial killer style. So interestingly, he clearly is killing other people because he tries to kill Angela. So him being like, oh, I kill all of my muses. It's very interesting that he has that type and then he deviated to just kill a random girl who like stumbled upon him, because serial killers like very rarely deviate from their thing.
Well, he needs blood.
He just needs blood. I get it. I get it. He just needs it for that. I know. He's just using them. Art supplies are expensive.
She was also snooping around.
No, for sure.
I took it. He killed her because she was getting too close to his lair, and he's just like, well,
oh, well, no, absolutely. I agree that there was a reason and a motivation for it. I just thought it was interesting that he was
I totally get what you're saying.
This girl is not my muse, but I guess I got to kill her anyway.
Even great artists phoned in a couple paintings, right?
Oh, for fucking
I'm
sure.
Picasso mailed a few in his day, so.
One for them, one for me,
That's right.
Yeah, in terms of like Buck, I guess I just like, I don't really care is where I'm at with that storyline.
Oh, no.
Well, that's where I think they have to make him more dangerous.
I think you're right. Yeah. I'm finding it difficult in this show in general to latch on to things that I care about. I don't know if that's how you guys feel as well. I felt like this episode was a bit of a letdown, mostly because it felt like they kind of like cut Muse short. But I don't know what I have to look forward with this series. How do you guys feel?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it would stand to reason that more likely Vanessa was trying to put some sort of hit out or is planning something against Fisk. So he's going to be fighting a battle on like 3 fronts, like the police that don't agree with his secret task force, Vanessa, and then Daredevil, right? Like he's going to have those. It's all ultimately going to be one of those shows where it's like, we're really like the person in the most peril in the last episode is going to be Fisk. And then what I assume will be his I've had a secret better plan all along moment will kind of reduce the world to rubble by the end. But I do agree.
I mean, I guess, the task force is definitely coming into the spotlight as the antagonistic force currently.
They gave Michael Gandolfini that one scene with BB.
Oh, I love that scene.
Yeah,
where he tried to go Tony Soprano on her and was like, it's a very big carrot and a very big stick.
Yeah.
And she's like, you'll never be your father.
Yeah, you'll never be your dad. I'm so sorry.
What a asshole.
Yeah.
Like, I understand
what
this.
a
Like,
huge dick.
I thought that was great because it's like the person we saw at the club is probably his true nature, like happy-go-lucky guy that just wants to hang out with his friends.
That just
And
wants to do
now-
ketamine, I
Yeah,
guess.
just wants to do a little K. But I think like what we're seeing now is that he, after his run-in with Kingpin, where he thought he was at the minimum resign and at the maximum be killed by him, I think he's now trying to emulate his hero, which I also think is bullshit because I do believe that Michael Gandolfini's character is secretly trying to kill the Kingpin at the very. I think he's going to be a victim of the Kingpin's former regime and is ultimately there to try to take him down. But I do think that while he's playing the role in the administration, he's now going to try to emulate Kingpin as a way to like further ingrain himself to him. Like if he can tell Kingpin that he's got a journalist on the payroll and that will report news as the Kingpin wants, and we see that like BB's vlogs and like man on the street or woman on the street videos are in this world, I think supposed to be like viral. Like we're supposed to believe that more people trust BB's video essays than they do the New York Times or something like that. You know,
it's definitely a commentary on the fake news pipelines.
And, for sure. And having like individuals have to be the whistleblowers of things like this.
Mm-hmm. And then getting wind of that and being like, well, then we just control the independent news articles. And
I don't want to live in that world. I don't want to live in Hell's Kitchen. It sounds bad.
It sounds hot.
Times are tough there. It's kind of like it's tough to watch a TV show where it's like society's breaking down all around and then look out your window and be like, is this happening here?
Is this happening here? Is this fucking play about us?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Why does Fisk want Greenland so bad?
Why does he care about Greenland?
Why is he calling the Hudson River the Hell's Kitchen River? Why
did he change that?
Yeah.
The Gulf of Hell's Kitchen.
But I guess like we've got 2 episodes left of this season, and I kind of agree with you, Brett. It's a little bit like, where do we go from here? I mean, I suppose if you take the last scene of the episode to be the kind of spark between the Fisk and Vanessa showdown, then we've got that, right? But that to me is maybe an episode 8 tie-up, and then episode 9 has to be Daredevil v. Kingpin, but something's going to have to happen there to put those two in each other's direct paths as well. So
I know what it is. Kingpin is going to declare that every French fry establishment in Hell's Kitchen has to start cooking them with beef tallow. And that's what's going to fucking break Daredevil. It's going to fucking break that boy down. He's going to be like, listen, my senses of taste and smell are being affected by this.
Men would rather cook everything in beef tallow than go to therapy. And I honestly, it's insane. It's insane to me. Beef tallow has to stop. Okay, so episode 7, more of a whimper than a bang for us, although it did start with a bang. In the shower, always tricky,
in the shower, always a good time.
Never a bad time, but it can be scary. Like this episode could be scary at times. But we've got 2 episodes left, guys. We're coming down the home stretch here. We've just eliminated one major threat is allegedly off the board. If you're a Muse truther, you think he's still out there lurking. But I don't know. I saw a body with my own 2 eyes. I think he's dead, gone, and I hope he stays that way. What are we thinking these last 2 episodes? Where is this heading?
Fisk has to hunt down Daredevil.
Yeah. Gotta get him, gotta kiss him.
And we know that Punisher comes back from clips. It's either they're hunting down Punisher or they're hunting down Daredevil. It sounds like they got to hunt down Daredevil because that's who Fisk is fixated on. And also
they held the mask up at the press conference. So I think masked characters are going to
start being vilified. Yeah.
And who is the masked character in this show is Daredevil. So
And I think the task force honors Punisher. So they're not going to go after their hero, but if their hero comes to save Daredevil, you can do the commentary there. I don't know. It feels, even just saying that, though, I'm like, I don't know if I feel like the payoff is going to be there. But that's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah. It'll be interesting because they already have the second season, greenlit and in production, they don't really have to tie anything up, right?
It's true.
They can leave us with a bunch of cliffies.
Maybe the most satisfying way for season 1 to end is everyth's a mess, right?
Yeah.
Like,
could be cool.
With the promise of some, conclusions in the second season, I would almost rather like season 1 end with like Karen getting off a plane about to step into Hell's Kitchen, Heather and Matt talking about getting married,
The
mess it
work
up real
wife
bad.
is angry because Matt's not showing up to work as
the work
much.
wife is sleeping with Cherry, who hates Matt now because Matt was Daredevil again. I love this show, but there's a lot about it that I'm kind of like, I think this show is imperfect, but it's a strong show with a lot of imperfections. And I think that that's fine, because some of my observations about Disney Plus series is like, they almost become like too safe. Like they don't really have anything. Like everyone's kind of
they don't say anything. They're like built on an idea that's really interesting, and then they don't say anything. Falcon Winter Soldier, yes,
exactly. It's like, at least this show's taking some big swings, and they're not all swings and connections, but I prefer that. So that's where I'm at with it.
Could be pretty cool if Matt gets got, but he's got his Daredevil, because remember in the beginning with Hector, he was like, oh, well, we should respect the fact that he's also White Tiger. So I think it would be pretty fucking rad if he does get caught, and She-Hulk, because She-Hulk has to try his case because she's the one who represents superheroes specifically in court. And I wonder if they're going to do like some kind of a team up. I don't think that they're going to, but I think it would be really fucking cool if Daredevil was allowed to keep the mask on and be tried in court as Daredevil, not as Matt Murdock at all. They keep his identity secret.
That's like, I think I would love that too.
I would love that. I think that'd be so fun.
Going back to what Tommy was talking about, just like kind of like diagnosing the problems with this season, is I think a lot of the problems where they reshot it and they reworked it. And I do think going into the next season, they are going to sort of figure out how to make it a little more streamlined, a little less episodic, and like have a serial narrative with like one villain that kind of like overshadows everything. And in this, it is Kingpin. We know that it's Kingpin, but I still think like they're not going to divide as much energy up. And the reason why so much energy is divided up is because they're going in and they're re-chopping it up a zillion fucking times.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. I also would say like you have, you end this season with Kingpin as like the overarching villain. And then like the show, to me, in the first couple Netflix seasons, always worked really well when there was a threat that both Kingpin and Daredevil were threatened by. Like,
good point. Like,
oh shit.
Vanessa.
Yeah. That could be Vanessa.
Ooh, it could be.
What if she's like the puppet master who secretly hates vigilantes more than Kingpin does? And she's like, Kingpin just wants Daredevil to stop, but Vanessa wants Daredevil dead.
What if she's Muse?
What if Vanessa is Muse? Ooh.
That's what I want.
I think we leave Vanessa's it on that, guys.
Let's leave it on that. Muse. Vanessa is Muse. End of story.
Is Muse coming back, or are we all coping? I think I'm coping, but
I put 2 scoops of dirt and a flower on his grave. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I trust an on-screen death. I never trust an off-screen death, but this was an on-screen death. But honestly, if Vanessa was like the mastermind, like I think Tommy was saying, like if she's the mastermind behind not necessarily a copycat. What am I trying to say? Like she's the mastermind and he's like the lackey.
The protege?
The protege. Yeah. What if that? I think that'd be really fun.
I like it. You heard it here first on Guardians of the Palaxy. Vanessa is the puppet master Muse. All credit goes to us. If it happens, all residuals for the episode goes to us.
Anyways, let us know what you think in the comments below. What's happening with Daredevil? Are you a Muse coper or not? And as always, remember to take care of your pals, love your pals, check in on your pals, tell your pals about the Palaxy, get more people in on here, baby. We love you. Bye.
See you guys.